Hi everyone, and welcome to the sixth edition of Mancala Monday. And today we have a special guest. We have Angela from Starknet Foundation. But before I let her introduce herself, I would allow Okhai to talk about the live coding session today. Then when he's done, Angela would introduce herself.
All right. Oh, thanks for you know hosting us, Paul. And yeah, so for today we're going to continue building the championship contracts. But before that, we're going to try to play Mancala with Angela. Angela is an amazing player. I played with her in Denver, and I just kind of want to see her play again.
Awesome.
Cool. Hi. I'm just trying to join the chat, but actually I realized that's not possible. I was trying to say hello to everyone, but that didn't work. Hi, I'm Angela. I am on the Starknet Foundation events team. But yes, as Akai said, we first played Mancala in Denver together, and I really thought I had the rules down. I was like, yeah, I've been playing for ages. My background is the Club Penguin Mancala room because that's where I first played. And so this is an homage to that. But yeah, I was like, I've got the rules down. I can beat Okai, like it's gonna be fine. And then he was like, actually, you didn't know that there are about how many different variants?
Found out there are over 200 different variants. I also learned that while building Mancala.
Yeah, because you had to try and program every single variant. So I didn't know that there were more rules, and I'm not gonna lie, I've also forgotten them already. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I got absolutely destroyed. But we're trying to fix that today, aren't we?
Yeah, we will.
We will.
Um,
We will, and I wish you good luck.
Savage. I really wish I could see people's comments. Can you, Paul?
yeah, I can, but then we don't have comments right now.
Okay.
We will.
Ah,
Okay, yeah.
tragic.
Okay,
That's
Yep.
fine. Hopefully the crowd will liven up soon.
okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm going to share my screen real quick, and then we can get started. So, can you all
Amazing.
see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So, give me a second. I'm still facing the connection issue. I actually do have one that I was able to pass through the connection, but just give me about 2-3 minutes, and then we can kind of try again.
That is absolutely fine because we're having a few technical issues, aren't we? And not because of the game itself. So, yeah. Uh, any questions that you guys want to ask me? Do you
I'm
want me to ask you guys questions? We were talking earlier, so
You can ask me questions, but I'm actually curious about the first time you played Mancala. I
mm,
remember vaguely that I know you said you played with maybe kids, and there was a club
yeah,
penguin too that you played. So
yeah.
yeah, I would love to
So
learn more about that.
obviously the Club Penguin, like just going and playing those little mini games and that. I think that's where I first learned it. And then like I saw a physical version in like a little shop somewhere in London. I'm from London. And yeah, I used to like tutor kids in maths or whatever. These are like 5, 6 year olds. They kind of all the way up to like 10 years old or whatever. And so we just play Mancala as like a really good way of warming up, getting them counting, getting them thinking about like logic as well, strategy. And it was always just such a fun warm up as well to like our sessions, because it's like a physical game. You like it gets you in the zone, it gets them counting, and also I get to destroy them at Mancala and win. So not every time. I did sometimes let them win, but it's also really good to teach kids to be humble as well. No? Have
um,
you ever played Mancala and beat kids? Okay.
I'm not going. I played the field. I'm not going to say anything about that. But no, actually, yes, I have. I played it a lot, with friends, and well, when I played it on physical board, I played it as a kid too. So I was
Mm.
maybe that kid
Okay.
that you let
So
win.
Did your family members did they let you win or did they humble you?
I was actually good, I was just born good. So it was like I came out the womb really good. No,
Okay.
I think maybe sometimes they let me win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I won a
It's
lot
a
of
good
games
game.
though. It's been
It's a good game to play with family. It's a good game to you can start when you're young. It's just fun. What about you, Paul? Did you play growing up? When did you first play Mancala?
Yeah, I did play it when growing up. We used to dig the ground to pick some stones and play them those days. So yeah, it was quite fun. So it was recently I went to the market to buy the board itself to play with my friends when they come around and all. But those days it was just dig the ground, play with stones and all. So
Oh
yeah,
my gosh. Yeah, like when you're a kid and you're playing outside and you're just doing
yeah.
random crap all over. Yeah. Oh, I would have much rather have played Mancala as a kid. I think I don't know. I grew up in the city, so we just get stones and draw hopscotches on the ground on the pavement. That was my childhood activity outside.
That's
Real life Mancala sounds low
okay.
key better.
Just a little update. Guys at Cartridge are still looking at it. So we have like a keychain timeout issue, and the main thing is that we are dependent on Cartridge for our account. And the issue seems like the server that's the time keychain is hosted is down, or something. Maybe there was just an update. So we just have to hold on like a little bit, but it seems like someone is actively working on fixing the issue.
That's good. So, what do you want to do while we wait?
Okay, that's a good thing. I
Mm.
That's
Well,
a good
actually,
thing.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, I thought we were just going to come on here and play Mancala, so I wasn't anticipating, what's this live coding thing that you're doing?
Okay. So live coding thing is like once I build. So after we play test Mancala, I'm working on a championship feature where people can bet against themselves or kind of like stake against themselves, and or there will be like a tournament. So how I'm envisioning it is like Champions League. How
Yeah.
teams register for Champions League and there's elimination until like the first one gets the crown. So I was trying to like rebuild that. Um,
That's
for
pretty fun.
Mancala.
Yeah.
So I
So, is
started.
it? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, continue. What was the
I
question?
was just gonna ask, so is it you pay a fee to enter the competition, or can you pay higher and bet against yourself more?
So for the first part, it's going to be that you pay a fee to get into the competition. So I am comparing it to like this platform, Budokan. It was built by Provable Games, and it's still also in very, very early stage alpha. But the idea is that people can create custom tournaments, so custom events. Like you, I know you have hosted a lot of events. So like if you want to host like an event in your place, if you're not like a Mancala player, you can host an event of Mancala, set a tournament fee, and set like the reward pool. So the top 10 players earn, and everything is on chain, but it just creates more, opportunity for people to host more events, host more tournaments. So, you can have like a Mancala University of Ibadan tournament
Mhm.
and someone hosts it there. And even within that, multiple people can host that thing there. And this is like all, the contract is all on chain. So like you don't have to trust anybody about the payments. You know that the top 10 players win, and it's all verifiable and transparent, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the idea. It just brings a new type of, I guess, market for people that want to host tournaments or host
Mm.
custom. So that was the idea behind it. I don't know if I answered your question. I was
No,
rambling.
no, no, you did. No, no, it's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that, the little backstory to it. It's fun. It's low stakes as well, or I guess it's as high a stake as you want it to be when you set your entrance fee or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
and if you want to host a free tournament, you can also. So it's up to the community at that point. So it's like people can host maybe like a Champions League, and you can actually um set requirements that maybe you must have finished like champion in the free tournament before you get here. So maybe
Yes.
again there can be just multiple different things that can come out of it. But yeah,
You
I
can
started.
have.
You were
Mhm.
saying something, Angela?
Oh no, I was just gonna say like you can have different tournaments for skill level.
Yeah.
So, you know, for
So
experienced players like myself, I'd go straight to the top, and you know, rookie people like you, Okhai, or my friends, you know, just
what?
couple.
I don't listen to that.
So, you know,
No,
a couple leagues down. No,
you know what?
it's the opposite. It's actually the
You know
opposite.
what? That could be true. But yeah, there's like a lot of ideas that have
Hmm.
flown in my head through that because I mean, even from just playing different guests, Mancala Mondays, I got a lot of feedback. There was another idea that, I was looking at exploring, where because there's so many variants of Mancala, right? And I know I cannot code all the logic for all these variants. So I was trying to create a custom or a customizable rule where people can come, set the rules that they are accustomed to, and then if it doesn't exist, they kind of like get attributed to it. So every time people
Hmm.
play a tournament on that their custom rule, they get rewarded for that too. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
again, all these are not possible like in the traditional sense. So I was just trying to deep dive into what is the essence of blockchain gaming, what is the unique advantage that this can offer, and so we just started exploring. So what I do is after the play test, I go into the coding and just kind of like
Hmm.
continue building it and just vibe and see how that
Yeah.
goes, until I'm like, okay, it's time. So
No,
that's
that sounds so awesome. Yeah, I love that it's like you're opening up for the community to put their own like culture into it, put their own house rules into it. It kind of reminds me like I'm playing Mahjong at home with my family. I'm very newbie at that for sure. But like there are so many rules. Like you said with Mancala, there are so many variants from like different regions that you have to just like you have to know which style you're playing in order to kind of get your tactics right. So it's kind of similar, and there must be so many like secret ones or hidden ones that like aren't well documented. And like having your community be able to program that in themselves is pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I know it's kind of like, well, I think there's multiple announcements that I'm trying to, lean back from announcing until I get like clear pictures. But there's like some amazing things in the works coming in. I
Yeah.
must. And sadly, I'm still looking at the chat. It seems like there's no positive.
No hope.
And I really wanted
No.
to play with you because I really enjoyed playing
I'll
Mancala.
be back. Don't worry. I'm here to like take my crown back. Um, quick question though before I do that. Um, what are the rules again for the variants for the variant that we would be playing?
Okay, I'm going to still share my screen because I do have one that's locked in,
Okay,
and I'll try to explain the rules from there.
good. For
Okay,
anyone who hasn't played Mancala.
so can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
So I remember, like from the traditional Mancala, I don't even know which you call traditional now because there's so many. But from like the standard one, the movement is anti-clockwise, right? So when you want to move, if you want to move on this pit, you select this one, and it just kind of like clears the pit and then distributes it anti-clockwise, right? So that's the standard rule that still goes on. The capture logic changes, right? So the only way you can capture in this variant is if your last stone. So let's assume we pick this one. This is 4. We select this. I cannot select it because it's not my turn, right? But let's just say it was my turn and I selected this. It clears the 4 seeds from here, and then it distributes it clockwise. So from 4, it's now it clears it. You have 4 in your end, and then you drop 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because the last seed is in an empty pit, it becomes a capturing stone. What that means is that you capture the adjacent one and the last stone. So you get 6 captured and you put in your Mancala. So it's going to be 6 plus 2, which is 8.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the objective is to have the most seeds, right? So you keep playing until the game ends. And the game ends if either row is empty. So if this row is empty, then the game ends, and every seed that's here gets captured and put to the opponent's Mancala. And this is always your pit. So if your opponent is empty, all your seed gets captured and put in your Mancala, and then the person with the most scores, and the scores is here, wins the game. The rules are quite basic because it's like we have the capture logic, we have the movement logic, and the last one is the extra turn, right? So if your last stone ends in your Mancala, it becomes a capturing stone. You get an extra turn. Why do I like capturing stone? Maybe because I yeah.
Is that your main tactic?
Man, that's my main tactic. I capture a lot of stones, But let's just say I had 5 seeds here. So if I selected this with 5 seeds, it's going to clear. So I have 5 seeds in the end, and then it distributes it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last seed ended in my Mancala, so I get an extra turn. The board here gives us that notification. You got an extra turn, and then I can move again. So some think that gives you an advantage if you play, the extra turn optimally. You get like an advantage, and I believe it has helped me a lot too. But I think that's where it varies from like the traditional, right? Maybe the extra turn logic is different from the IO. That's the variance in Ibadan. This is where I grew up. Where I think if you have less than 3 in your last beat, you pick it and you continue moving. So the variance vary that way. I don't know if it was clear and you understood what I was saying.
No, I do. I have a question though. So, for example, your opponent, they've got on the row with the purple, bluey stones. On the one that's like right next to their pit or their like score, is it the pit?
This one?
The score one? Yeah. So if you were to pick that up and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, do they then capture all of the seeds that are on their side?
No. So you can only capture when it ends at an empty, your last stone ends at an empty pit in your row. So if
Okay.
last stone ends in your opponent, it just ends. So you lose, your turn ends, and then your opponent gets the next turn.
Gotcha. Okay. Right.
So,
Good.
yeah, the only time you can capture is if the last stone ends in an empty pit and it's on your side, and then the opponent also has something. So if it ends in an empty pit and opponent's pit is empty, like the adjacent one, you cannot capture that one. The only way you can capture is if the opponent has some stones, your pit is empty, and the last stone just ended in your pit.
Okay, that makes sense. Ah.
Yeah.
So if you don't capture it, your stone just stays there. You don't even get to capture your own one.
Yeah. So if there is no stones here, you don't get to capture. And the main reason why I chose this variant, apparently there's a lot of research on Mancala. So I've seen PhD studies on Mancala. I was surprised. And there's like 5, Mancala that is kind of like it's not been solved. And this one is one of them. Although there's like, I think it says like there are millions of moves that you can make in this board, which I found interesting. I found that really interesting.
That's so cool. This is I don't know if I told you this in Denver, but that was like one of my thoughts. Like every single game that you could play, you could mint it and mint the full gameplay, and then you could see how many out of the million you eventually end up like. What percentage of all combinations possible does your community end up playing? Because that would be pretty fun to find out.
That would be pretty fun. I don't think
It's surely as well for just like stats purposes. I just want to see.
Yeah, I actually be interested in looking at that for stat purposes too. I know we discussed multiple, things in Denver, and one being like the collectible board itself, right? We talked about me playing the game with my grandma, and like for the like if I wanted to talk about the history of this game, like maybe to my grandkids, and like when I talk about it, we can replay these games, right? And it keeps a perfect memory of everybody you've played. And there's kind of like a lot of benefits that can come from that, because this game one, we said there are over 200 variants. I'm assuming that some of the variants are lost, right? I mean, if it's
100%,
blockchain, that is not the case. When people can put it, when I have that feature where people can put their custom rules are there forever, right? And that it's not going to be lost. But also, like, we know Magnus is the best or one of the best chess players, right? We have like some geniuses here that we will never find out because there's no way to keep good memories. It's not documented or properly documented like chess. But why do you have to go through that stress when you can have a technology that can just automatically document it for you?
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's completely community driven. It's like maintained long after all of us will be gone. Maybe, hopefully. That's the plan.
That's the plan, and that's one of the things I like about the blockchain gaming. I know it's kind of like this game has lasted for apparently in Ghana there is a legend that goes 7,000 years for this game. So this game is old. It's really old.
Damn.
So it's like it's a timeless game, and like even now solidifies it more. Like that about blockchain gaming. And I'm still looking at the chat, and they're like, we're still looking into it.
Tragic. I don't think we're going to be able to play today.
I know.
Heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking.
We're just gonna have to pick another day. I know, literally, like we've been trying to find a date for a while. We were like, "Oh, you free on this Monday? Can you do this?" And finally, we got on, and it is not working.
It is what it is. At this point, I know that the universe don't want me to beat you publicly, and it's okay. It's okay.
I'm gonna take it as like the universe is giving me a little bit extra time to like practice to get me there, and then the next time we actually play live, then I'll beat you.
Or
so
maybe
now I know the rules.
Me. Maybe the universe is protecting me. Maybe you would have won today, and the universe like, nah, it's not gonna happen.
Exactly. Absolutely right.
But yeah, Paul, what are your thoughts so far? Just the Mancala stuff. And Angela, do you have questions for us? I know it turned out different, but hey, we make it the best of it.
Yeah, cool. I think okay. So, I think we can just schedule for next week, next 2 weeks, depending on what works for Angela, right? Then yeah, maybe just do your live coding and we call it a day.
Okay. We can reschedule for next time. I'm going to go, pull some hairs and make sure that this works. For next time.
100%. So you're gonna do your live coding now?
Yeah, I'm going to start. Yeah, I'm going to start live coding.
Okay, cool. Well, I might bow out then.
Yeah.
But because I've got to jump to something else. But this has been very fun. I can't wait to beat you in the next session.
All right.
But yeah, thank you guys for having. How long is the session usually? Like Mancala Mondays?
This session for the game has been around 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I go into live coding. So, last week's session, I think, was about 20 minutes.
Okay, nice. So it's okay if I just peace out here.
Yes.
Right, guys, I'm going to go training and get myself ready. Now that I have had a reminder of the rules, that was low-key my ulterior motive, so I could just get a quick reminder, practice in my own time, and then come back and absolutely demolish you.
All right. So I'll see you next time.
Thank you guys for having me. Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, now we'll go to the live coding session. Give me a sec. I'm gonna pull this up.
Yeah. So what was the major issue with cartridge?
I would. I don't. You know what? Give me a second. I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So I was getting a timeout waiting for keychain error. So if I'm trying to log in, it doesn't allow the wallet to connect. So I went to cartridge because to see what the issue can be, and Loot Survivor is having the same issue. So this is a dev from Loot Survivor, so it's having the same issue. So what it means is that if we go to Mancala, for example, and we try to connect the wallet, typically we're supposed to see like a pop-up, right?
Oh yeah.
where you connect. We don't have that. So even if you go to colonies, so apparently like any solution that uses controller right now. So if you want to log in, it's not going to pop up because of that issue.
Mm.
So if you go to Loot Survivor, um, let's keep this. I want to play for real, and you want to connect controller. It's not popping up. Like so, it's something that is beyond the scope of what I can handle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Depending
So
on
does it mean, okay, it's just best to have not just cartridge controller like as your login feature?
so there is two things to it, right? So for games, we're bidding on chain games. There's
Yeah.
like a benefit of the session keys that come to
Mm-hmm.
from the controller. So yes, but I know Argent has that. So like you're right, we might have multiple options, right? I just think for simplicity's sake, um,
Mm.
and if we're trying to onboard multiple people, we should try to make it as seamless as possible. That's why I had one. But yeah, maybe we can do that. The other alternative is we also allow infrastructure. So the controller is open source, right? So if I'm maintaining it, so I have my own version deployed, I know
Mm-hmm.
that it's not dependent on so many things because maybe this came down because of like an upgrade right now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to kind of like experience that because we don't have to experience that because
Yeah.
we're going to have our infra kind of like maintained by us. So
Yeah.
I guess the simple answer is yes, we can go multiple option, or we can have like just also our infra. So we depend on ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, understandable. Although, I mean, I actually understand you when you say the UX of just having cartridge controller is very awesome. You just have to hop in, and you just need to log in, and you're all good to go. But when you get that pop up of, okay, do you want to sign with your wallet, Agent, Bravos, is that it makes it like a little bit complicated and all. But I do feel you. Yeah.
Yeah, for first-time users that are not like, and that's like the target audience, right? If I'm building Mancala, hoping to onboard more people that can relate to the game, and
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that having too many complex things will be a turn off for someone that's not like crypto native. It's like, bruh,
Yeah. Sure.
So that is kind of like the main issue, yeah. But we can still have the controller experience. We just hosting our infra, so I think that will be the um results for when we get in production ready, just to make sure that everything is kind of like dependent. It's just more difficult to do that because you have to worry about like the infra now instead of just focus on building as fast as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to share my screen a bit.
So where did you stop last week?
We finished the models for the game. So if we do a git switch, um, championship, and I started building this contract. So I initialized the new contract, and then we had the models. And I tried to explain like how data struct how this is structured, and it just excuse me. This would be like the championship model, and it just contains all the things we need. So when the game is created or the championship is created, like I was explaining to Angela, so that people can create custom championship or tournaments, right? So
Mhm.
like you can have a Starknet Nigeria or even University of Ibadan championship, right? Someone can create it, put like an entry fee there. Okay, I want it to be like X amount of dollars. So you put or 100 naira to enter, right?
Mhm.
And then people can pay 100 naira, enter the tournament, and it's like Champions League, eliminate if you play and you lose, you get eliminated till you get to the champion. And you can
Yeah.
put like, the number of people that you want in the game. So there could be like a minimum amount. I think, minimum player. So for the metadata, you could put a minimum player, maximum player. So the minimum for the tournament to start would be like, let's say 20 players, right? and the maximum can be 40 players. So once it hits, you can spin off this tournament, and then tournaments, you can now set a rule that if you have finished this tournament, that's the only way you can get into the next tournament. It's like, I don't know, like Champions League and like Premier League. You get eliminated from Premier League, you get a Champions League. So that's kind of like the idea. But again, the main thing is like the verifiable tournament. People can, see everything. It's transparent and all. So summary, I created all the models last week. So this is all the things that were, at least fingers crossed, that we'll need to have that working. So that's model. So next is the system. So system is like things that modify the state or update or calls custom logic into the models. So like I just said, we need like maybe a minimum of 20 players to start, right? Like I've written the model here, but I've not done anything that shows how that would work. So this is where we get to the systems, right? And this is where we will write that logic to kind of like ensure that, check if it's 20 players. We can also write it in the models, actually. So we can also write in the model. So we can also put the implementation here. So we already started some implementation. So there's the function, but this is still not systems, but we can still call it system because it's logic, right? This is just ensuring that the registration is open. So if the registration is not open, players cannot get in, right? And I'm going to try to rely on AI today because this is kind of like the flow of like you do when you're programming. So I can say, given this model, where's the model? I'm using Z, which is the text editor. And the funny thing is, we add a Cairo language extension, and I was one of the 2 contributors that worked on it. So Thomas started it, and I was also like the second contributor. So it's 2 of us that made it. So if you're using Z, which is a text editor, amazing text editor by the way, and you need Cairo support, you can always install the Cairo plugin, and I was one of the authors of that.
Awesome. So is that the same stuff that runs on the Starknet agent? So
No. So it's kind of like the language server. So it's like so VS Code also has an extension. So this is just kind of like the text editor. So think about it like WordPress, right? I said WordPress, Microsoft Word for writing essays. We use IDEs for writing code, right? But these IDEs have become more intelligent so that they are aware of the language, so they can correct you if you're making a mistake. They can give you syntax alignment. So like now because you see that some colors are this and some colors are blue, right? And it just kind of like help you visually differentiate it. But if you're making a mistake, it's also going to shout at you that, hey, you're making a mistake. So you know better. So it just improves your coding experience.
So since I'm just going to allow you to, instead of asking a lot of...
it's good. That's the point of the vibe here. I just want to like talk and vibe and see how it goes, because I mean, this is also like part of programming, right? Again, I'm trying to heavily depend on AI, right? So can you create?
So I have a question. So if you're vibe coding with AI and you are coding with like all by yourself, right? Which one is faster, and also which one would maybe have less bug? I mean, as it is maybe.
So I guess it depends. So sometimes coding with AI is faster, but has a lot of errors, right? But it's generally fast. It helps you. This is something that you can code yourself. So I'm going to do one example of coding myself and one with AI. But there are some things that you can just code yourself. It's fast. But like coding with AI kind of just gives you like split this block for you, and you can edit it and make sure that your standard. And it helps too, because what was I doing? I was writing this contract, Elysium Descent. I'll show you that real quick. And this is still private though, but it's not a problem. I just want to show you the importance here, because there's no way I would have written this without even having errors. It would have given me a lot of headache too. So it was, I think. Okay, so I'm creating this game for where it's like a roguelike game where you're fighting beasts. But look at all this long thing. And I needed to create random names for my monsters, right? Instead of me having to write it manually, I just told it that I need 20 monsters, just generate for me. And it gave me names, and I gave it a tune. Even the models, I'm like, hey man, even the models I'm showing you right now that I'm trying to explain how it is, like this championship model, 100% AI helped me come up with it, because I was trying to think about it. Okay, what do I really need? I put the example I'm borrowing a lot of ideas from Loot Survivor or Provable Games Tournament. So I put their own example and I describe what I want, and it generated me this. And sometimes it's incorrect, but a lot of times it is still faster, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty much. So can you as well use AI to debug?
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Let's just even see if we can run into an error. I definitely use it to debug a lot. I'll just say, hey, man, it's not working. I don't know why. Tell me why. And it will. So just this simple, right? So create a function that make sure the minimum number of players is met. Literally just wrote the function, right? So it says function as minimum player. So we check the championship model. So this is the championship model. So we will check the self.start.registered player. So this is player that registered to the game from the. So we have this stats model, I think somewhere here. Oh yeah. So the championship status, yeah. So we want to know the players are registered. So it's check if the registered player is greater than the minimum player. So if it is, it's going to say, full or true or false. So this is kind of like this. So I can just copy this and paste it here. Type stuff. You get. And maybe I need to be more fancy, and I can put just inline always. And this macro, it's a little bit, it helps in gas optimization. So when I want to use this inline always, it's just that instead of calling this function, because this is literally the only thing that the function is checking, it kind of extracts that and put that in the code base. So when I'm calling the function, it just reduces the number of steps that the thing will do. So it can save you a bit of gas. So if you're kind of a gas optimization maxi, you can do that. That's kind of one benefit here. So I'm just gonna check. So check if, and I can have an assert to just assert that, okay, number is met. So just have that here. So as minimum players, okay, check if they're registered. I don't know if this is what I wanted. Let's see. But it still gives you an idea of how you get started. You get what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah, but of course, someone that doesn't really know how to code can't use AI effectively to code, because
it helps. It helps to understand the basic logic, right? But yeah, you can. It's just you might be debugging things that you don't need to debug long. Okay, right now I have this, and I'm okay, I can just feed it the file championship, and okay, get me. Is there any improvement I can make? Is there any improvement I can make to the systems? Just check this out for the function, right? And it's going to spit out all the code that I need right now. So it's consistently inline. So it's I should use inline always for a lot, because your code looks good overall, but there are some improvements. So it just gives me that. So constantly inline. So when I did this, I only put inline once, right? So it's okay, do it more consistently. So it's helping me kind of like, as I'm building that, okay, do this. It helps you in that. So I can like, okay, are there any other functions? Are there any other functions?
Okay, so I have one more question, right? As a content writer, let's say if you use AI to write some stuff and you mostly realize that there is some dash in between the content because maybe it was written by ChatGPT, and also is there a way someone can easily identify that a code was written by AI when, let's say, a professional developer looks at the code?
Not exactly, and exactly, because we'll know if you just generated everything with AI, and it's like spaghetti code, because AI is not looking at, and you don't know, right? So it just gives you like just pure spaghetti code, like it's not optimized, nothing. But
Yeah.
everybody these days use AI. Like I've not seen like even YC Combinator. You know YC?
Why? See, yeah, yeah,
YC
yeah, yeah,
Y
yeah.
Combinator, they invest in a lot of startup, and they had this epic talk about vibe coding. That's like the new thing. So it's like they are funding people with millions of dollars for using AI to code. So it's like it's already in our system. It helps us code better. Like there are some things I would not think about, right? So it's
Mhm.
like this is talking about price pool, like how we can get the price pool, how we can fill percent, can player register, see match completion percentage, like see all this, like it's cancelable, so can I even cancel this tournament? So it's like these are all functions that I need, that I don't have to think about from my head, right? And if I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't think it's useful, like I'll throw it away. I can throw it away. But do you get the
Mhm.
point?
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
yeah, and I can literally just, again, I told you I am borrowing a lot of inspiration from Loot Survivor tournament, so I can quickly just go through that too. So github.com/provable games. Uh, but summary, what I did not spell provable games right. But summary, what we need, what is left in our own contract, right? Oh shit. Um. Oh, found it. Summary, what is left in our contract is what I'm doing right now, just implementing the functions to ensure that we can update the state. That's all. But okay, this is the tournament. This is what I was talking about. Budokan can go, yeah. I can go to the source and let's see components. So they created it into components because they want it to be usable, so I can use it. The main reason why I'm not using tournaments and I'm having to build mine is because Mancala is a 2-player strategy game, right? And this is optimized for only a single player. So I'm kind of like, there's a lot of things that has been written here that is good, but there's a lot of things I want to do that I cannot do because of that. Like look at this system to create a tournament. Like see how they did this, right? I can literally just copy some of these and tell them that I'm building a system like this. Okay, just watch this, copy this. I'm like, so this is the inspiration, right? So I am building championship, which is inspired by tournaments from whatever, right? And mine is a 2-player game. Can Again, at the end of the day, your prompt is what is like most important, right?
Yeah,
Can
pretty.
you create an interface for players to interact? And what an interface is like when you want to use this contract in another contract, right? This just exposes like how other contracts can interact with it. So all these things that you see here, right? It's just kind of like the blueprint. We call it blueprint of the functions. There's no logic in there, but if let's say we have colonies, which is Starknet Africa, thing that want to maybe from colonies, you want to create a game. Remember, like Facebook in the initial stage where you can play games on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And you want to play on-chain games on colonies. So directly, like when you're being social, you want to like play games. So we can have it that right on colonies contract can call this contract. So instead of human being, going to Mancala website and starting it, colonies contract can call create championship. So there'll be a button on their website, create championship, and you can, check that content. So this is how we can interact with each other. But they need to know the interface. Because if they don't know the interface, they cannot call it. So this is how you define the interface. So you see, and I just gave it tournaments interface, and I'm like, I described mine. It might not be the best or the best description, but I described it, and it's created an interface for me, right? So I can just copy this interface and now look through it and say, is this what I want? Is this really what I want? Right? If it's what I want, I can just go. So I can just do this and copy this and just go, yeah. And I'll just seed into championships, source, and systems. So I'm going to create a new thing. I'll call it championship. So I'll just do a touch championship.cairo. So this is the systems, and this is one of the final steps for our own game. And I'm not creating a component because I'm just doing this for Mancala. They're doing it for like a more primitive way that a lot of people can use, but I'm doing it just for one single contract. So this is what I would need in my own. So the tournament, so again, it's already aware of some of the things. It's aware of like the championship model. So if you want to start the championship, you put the meta. The meta information is this. You see, I did not have to write all this code. AI just generated this code for me. But this is pretty much what I need to create the championship. But maybe, okay, I look at it now like, maybe this is not how I should do it. I like this, but there's a way I can just abstract it here, right? So I can come here, implement championship state. I can literally even have AI help me again. So I'll just come in this initialize championship trade and say, you know what? I'll just highlight this and go and do like selection. I need to implement a function to create a new championship.
I mean, this is the real vibe coding.
This is what vibe coding looks like. In the implementation block. Names. New. So I said I was going to vibe coding it. So yeah. Yep. So this is the function I need. So instead of me creating like an interface for new, would I still need an interface? Actually, yes, I would do, but I would just call it something else. So in here, I'll just have this implementation block. And I can just go over it to see if that works or not. So if we want to create a new championship, we need an ID. So the ID is just going to uniquely identify the championship. So this is like championship 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Think of it like a database or a table, like Excel spreadsheet. You have one, and then all the details of the championship, who created it is going to be here. The meta date, which we've defined here, the name of the championship. So we can call it Starknet Africa test will be there. The description will be in the meta. So like, this game will be played for free or we played for $2 or 100 naira, right? Every for this, you just put the description there. The max player that can play, you put it, and all this will be imputed into this. And what we need is like user interface, right? A beautiful user interface that people will select to create a championship. But I can do this once I deploy via the contract, right? And that's what it will look like in the first time once we deploy. The schedule is something that we also created, right? So the schedule is just going to be the period where the game is going to start and when it's going to end. So, and we can also see the full registration. So we can see the registration starts on Monday and the registration ends on Friday, right? So this window is when you can play the game. And during the game itself, the game lasts for 2 weeks, and this will just be block timestamp. So what it means is like the timestamp and our contract or the blockchain where we will do it. So it's not going to use real world time, it's going to use block timestamp. And there's a function to get that block timestamp, but we'll do that on the systems. And the entry fee is where you will set the entry fee in championship. But then once you put this, again, it gets the block timestamp from Starknet. That's what I was saying. See, I didn't need to code this. AI already did that for me. You get it? And you just look at it. It's like you're going to just review it. That doesn't make sense, right? For the status, we're going to set the championship status. Yeah, like so the total match played, the completed matches, registered match, and total stake. So you see it here. So in the game, right, we talk about like comparing to like Premier League or whatever. Like we want to know how many people have played. So this is going to keep track of how many people have played, how many people actually completed it or got eliminated, how many people registered to play, right? And how much did they stake? So remember, we say we are putting 100 naira, every game. So this is where it's gonna go. And then we just kind of like initialize it. And this is how to initialize a struct, because at the end of the day, it's a struct. This is how to initialize a struct in Cairo. So we have this new game already implemented. So I'll go back to this and I'm like, create championship. I think this is fine because when we do this, we can just kind of like call that function. So instead of us like having to implement the logic, because remember, again, the logic is not implemented yet, but we still need this data here. And this is just in ref self. It just means that we're going to be modifying the state. So there are two types of ways to interact with the state. The storage of the contract is that you're reading from it, and that's like it doesn't cost gas. So you're just looking into the state and like or you're writing to it. When you're writing to it, like you're modifying it, you're changing things from it. It's like think of it like a cup of water, right? Or like these vitamins. Like when I'm looking at it, it's okay, but when I want to modify it, like I want to take something for it, so it's going to update that it was 10 that was inside here before, but now you've taken 2, it's 8. So you have to put ref to do it because of the way why this is because of mutability in Starknet. And Starknet, blah blah. Okay, not blah blah. Starknet is like the memory model is like immutable. So it means that once a memory location is written into, you cannot modify it. And it's just for safety, right? Because if you are doing financial stuff, you want to make sure that is the case. It brings another challenge. Like, okay, I'm not going to go into that explanation because it's going to be long. But we just know that if you put ref self, you're just going to modify the state, and we'll put all the things I want to do, and then we'll call that function that we just created here to create a new game when we're doing the implementation. But we've not done the implementation yet. So in this case, register player. So this is register a player for championship. So this is a function that if a player wants to register himself, or we call. So because we've already created the championship, we know the ID. So we put the ID here. Okay, so I want to go into, again, think of it as an Excel sheet, right? The table is all the columns there. So it's like, okay, I want to go to championship 1. This is my address. This is my name. So this is how we're going to register a player. We're also going to implement the logic, but this is it. So start championship. And this one, probably only me or the creator of the tournament. So remember when you want to create a tournament, we collected a record of your address created by. So for security, only you that created the tournament should be able to start the championship. So people will believe in you that you are an organizer. You have created this event, so you're the one that will be able to start the championship. I don't know if that's making sense.
Makes sense.
And that's just start championship. And this is another function to start the match, so create a match. You put the ID again, player 1, player 2 want to play. So in this case, we're going to use a dispatcher. And I'm going to try to explain to AI to help me get it too. So it's going to create a dispatcher that is going to interact with the Mancala contract. So, when we want to start a game in Mancala, we do like create public game. So in this create match, when we have the player ID, I think, we have a model that has the player ID that maps it with their address. So we're going to use that address to call Mancala create game and join game. So we're going to call two functions in the create match. So in this create match, you're going to create game and join game. But we're going to have other checks to make sure that, okay, this player, before you can create match, you must first be part of the championship. That's what's going to be in there. And submit match result. And this one would be for taking the record. And this will be good for the reward distribution. But you see, all these things is code. You don't have to trust me. You know how we usually do it before, where maybe even I'm going to use a job, for example, where you have to trust someone to keep money. Then when they start to distribute the money, it's like, Moti, I had a family emergency. I had to use it. Come back tomorrow. But in this case, you don't have to trust a human being to keep the stake. It's all contract. Me that even wrote the contract don't have power to modify it and say nah. It's already written. It's already written. But that's the point. Generate trust next round. I don't think this will be necessary. This will be necessary. Maybe I need to abstract it away from here. But this is kind of when all the teams have finished the group 1, this is what I'm going to use to go to group 2, where all the people that need to be eliminated will be eliminated, and these are the only people that are eligible to go to the next round. Complete championship. So when the game is over, I can think that anybody that played the game, I can write that logic that anybody that played in the game can call this complete championship if we put a validation to say that if the final game has been played, though, anybody can click this, because when you click this is when the money will get distributed, right? And I don't want it to be like I'm the one in charge of that, because if there's only one person in charge of that, then maybe I can fall sick or something can happen to me, But if it's if you join the tournament, you can end the round. Only if you join the tournament. So we can write that custom logic here. The same thing with claim prize. So when the round is ended, anybody that won can come here and collect his money. Simple. Cancel tournament. So maybe if the minimum cancel tournament, cancel championship, and refund stay. So maybe there's something that happened, right? And maybe we've not gotten to any elimination stage. We can cancel the tournament and return the money to everybody. So we should have that feature. Or maybe the number of people that were supposed to get there did not join. The minimum threshold was not met. Can cancel tournament too. Get championship. I don't know what this is, but AI generated it. I'm gonna put it question mark. Maybe I can even modify it. Comment this out. Goes on and goes on and goes on. Can player join? We already have this before. And we can have this public, right? And you will notice that some has ref self and some has self. So you see this self. Remember this one with ref self, and what's the difference? This one has ref self. Again, we say modify states, we put ref, but this one is just reading. And you even see how AI named it, get. So in this case, we are not modifying any states. And this is why we had this generic T state. We're just reading it. So we're like, okay, we want to see the rank of this player. Who is number 1? Who is number 2? Who is leading the Champions League? Who is leading? You get that point. That is kind of where this comes in, and it's doing a self, and it's just taking a snapshot of the memory. So what it means is that, let's just say we're using this for example. We're looking at this and just think of it as taking a picture, and then it's checking out, okay, this is it. I'm not actually opening it or modifying anything from here, and that's the point in this. But yeah, see, AI has helped us to a certain degree, and I can even have AI again implement the logic, right? So it's like, hey, this is a dojo contract, and we can modify it even some more with I'm a little stubborn. I like using cutting edge technology, but there is technology like Cursor that, in all honesty, the AI there is better. Even Dojo have something called Sensei MCP. I cannot remember the full meaning of the acronym MCP, but it kind of helps you check with Dojo standard if like the thing is following the standard. So it would have been good to have that, but we don't have that. Anyways, I can just generate the implementation and then I can edit it later, maybe right now or later. And I think it's already in the hour, but let's just do this file championship system and say, all right. And I can still pass it the model too. So file this model. All right. So maybe we need to take out all right because apparently it costs money to be polite and saying all these things. So yeah. So I can just tell you directly, generate the implementation of the system's interface. Note, this is a Dojo engine game. Or this is a game written in Dojo engine. You know what I mean. And I have provided the models to work on. She can now, and it's going to do its own work. Me, I don't need to stress, you know. So he's telling me what I need to import. So these are like necessary importations. So this is the use Starknet, and this is just kind of. So Starknet has its own library and has functions that we can use to, interact with the Starknet operating system. And this is kind of like where that is. This is also Dojo. Dojo has its own dispatcher. And this is like how the Dojo system works is that the game is in its own world, interacting with its own world. So they have this interface that you can import. I could just call it API that we can use. Yeah. This is the models that these are the custom models that we just created and some just data structure. Like in the models, you will see like we have championship. This is how you import it in another file. So this is the struct. And in here, instead of you rewriting it, because you're in another file and you want to reference something else in another place, when we import all this, it's going to be like, okay, I know we are here, but the code, I've already written the code. If you check here, this is where the code is. So you can kind of like come here and do it. But yeah, no, I got you. I'm just going to copy this for today, right? And then, yeah, I'm going to copy this for today. It did not even finish implementing. You know what? This is technically not complete. I'm going to, no, I don't need the event right now. I'm going to, you know what? I'm just going to copy this import for today. You know what?
So I have a question. Let's assume, like I asked initially, let's assume you're coding this from scratch without AI. How long would it take? Hours, days?
It would take more than days. So AI would get me there faster, right? So if I was doing it, what I usually do before is like, I don't want to use AI because I think it's going to affect, my thinking process. But if I'm doing that, imagine all these things I'm writing and I have to type it individually. First, there will be typos, First, I have to be thinking, okay, thinking about the system, how will this system work? But see how I'm even able to have a conversation and discuss the code with you. AI generated it, then I can look at it, like think about me as like the reviewer. I can look at how it did it and then like fix the error because it's not going to make all errors, right?
Yeah.
And then if there's like any standard practice not following, like now, this doesn't make sense what the AI did. So the AI imported this and then imported it back in here, but we could have just put it in the contract module. So there was no reason why it did it outside. So I can just move this inside here. Now it created a lot of events. I don't think I necessarily need all these events, right? Maybe some of them are necessary. So now I'm going to be like, I don't know. Because on its own, when you call a function in Dojo, it already has its own event. And there are some other things like that I need that, it's not doing. But so answer to your question, it helps you get you there faster because there's a lot of things that we did right now that if I was doing it without AI, would have taken me at least a day or at least, a couple of hours. You get. Yeah. So that's kind of like the long story short about it. But yeah, I was programming thinking out loud, and I thank you for your time. I know it's like 1:05. We're going to continue next week. I'm going to put the code. I'm going to leave the code by next week. I'm going to like leave a link to the code. So after next week, I'm just going to leave a link. So if anybody wants to follow along, if anybody wants to even, because open source want to make suggestions that what you're doing is wrong, or this is not how Champions League work, or this is not how this implementation work. Maybe it could be better. You can leave suggestions like in the repo, and I can engage it in Africa and Starknet Africa group chat. Like, hey man, you know what? Blah 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 blah. You want to join my Telegram? You can kind of up in there. I'll leave a link to the Telegram there too, and then people can continue from there.
Awesome. So we are going to have Angela next time. It was a pity that she couldn't play today after the anticipation. I was actually like very excited to have her join and play the game, but yeah, it is what it is. So
I'm sad, but I think Angela would have beaten me today. Yeah, it's not still working because wait, it's working now.
Oh wow.
Guess what? We've been coding this since morning. I didn't check anything. Let me share my screen and you'll see that it's working now.
So I mean, I don't know what her schedule is. Do you think she can still join? We do something.
Today, it's already late, and
Is it
it's like, but it would have been fun to have her on and just talk shit. But
yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Oh wait, yes.
Okay, do you see the Mancala lobby?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you click on it now, see it pops up. Before
yeah.
So if you go to colonies now, also, and you click login. See, before it wasn't popping. Now everything is popping. So it was an issue with server, something. But yeah, sadly it works now. But I mean, we're already in the hour, right? So
yeah, pretty much. Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe next 2 weeks. In any time that works for Angela, she would just hop in and beat your ass. And I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I mean, I would love to see her beat you.
Yeah. I would not love to see her beat me, but yeah, we never know. She's really, fun to play with.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, guys, it's nice to have you guys stick to the end of this sixth session of Mancala Monday, and by next week would hope that we won't have like the issues with cartridge today, and you enjoy the game session while also participating in the live coding session by Okhai. But that will be all for today, and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.